Hello, everyone, and welcome to Friends of the Force, a Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Brad.
And I'm your host, Sarah.
And today on the show, we are bringing you Lego Star Wars, baby. We are back.
Yes.
Let me tell you, we are building an excellent episode for you piece by piece because we are joined by the cast and crew of Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, Pieces of the Past, which is part 2 of Rebuild the Galaxy, which came out last year. And Sarah, I can speak for both of us in that we not only love these specials and this newest one in particular, but we love Lego Star Wars
so
at our core.
Much. I think for both of us, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this in like the very first episode we did together back in 2019, 2020 about our fandom with Lego Star Wars growing up. Like, this is so fundamental to who we are as Star Wars fans. So anytime we have the opportunity to talk about Lego Star Wars, whether it be amongst ourselves and our friends or with the creatives who are making Lego Star Wars, is like the very best day, honestly.
Yeah, truly. It was so special. We were invited to a roundtable interview from Lucasfilm. We were doing this alongside Art of Fatherhood, Father and Son Galaxy, Jedi Newsnet, Star Wars Explained, Talking Bay 94, and the Geeky Waffle. So there are going to be 2 roundtable interviews, the first of which is with Gaten Matarazzo and Tony Revolori, who both play Sig and Dev Greebling, respectively. We've also talked with in our second interview, Dan Hernandez and Benji Samit, who are the writer and executive producer on Rebuild the Galaxy, both parts. I believe they were. So that's very exciting that we got the chance to talk to them. Sarah, I mean, really just quickly up top, what did you love this special as much as the first time around?
Yeah, I think I love this one even more than the first one because the first one is doing a lot of setup work to tell us the story of Sig especially. And then in the second one, they are really like, let's do anything and everything. And the jokes are out of this world. Honestly, they're so good. They're so good. All of my notes are just one-liners and puns. And yeah, the amount of creativity in this second special in particular is truly delightful. And also, like, how the heck did they come up with these? Like, are we sitting around a table going like, ruin XYZ by changing one letter? Because that's what it feels like and I say that as like a truly high compliment.
Yeah. No, I feel like this one just totally opened up Pandora's box, and the amount of Lego zaniness, fun wordplay, and also like inside Star Wars baseball, just those really small Easter eggs that aren't really like the usual kind of Easter egg, but it's like a line a character spoke one time that is slightly changed. Those types of things that really made me love this special and had me audibly cackling a couple of times alone in my house, which is great.
And it was it was so awesome too to like get to interview the cast and creatives behind this particular special, because you can feel, and you will listen in the interview and feel the passion and enthusiasm they have, not only for Star Wars and Lego, but Lego Star Wars, like all 3 of these things separately and together. We get a lot of like Lego specific tidbits in the conversation with Dan and Benji, and we get a lot of true love for Lego Star Wars in the conversation with Gaten and Tony. So I really, really hope that you enjoy these interviews.
Yeah, absolutely. I particularly really loved our question to Gaten and Tony, by the way, because again, that is Brad and Sarah core.
Yes.
And we're excited for you, listener, to hear our question, along with so many other great questions from the group that we had. So once again, happy to turn it over to our interviews here. First up will be Gaten Matarazzo and Tony Revolori. And then second will be Dan Hernandez and Benji Smith. So without further ado, let's get started.
Hi, I'm Brandon from Talking Bay 94. How are y'all?
Brandon, well, how are you?
Good. I'm just curious in terms of like inspiration you're bringing to these characters, and you've had now a few years to develop them. Did you pull from any, whether Star Wars characters or storylines specifically, to kind of inform them, or what was your process to kind of build Sig and Dev?
Ooh, that's really fun. I think what's easier on my part, I think Tony probably had a more challenging process here, but with Sig, it's just a dorky Star Wars fan, which is exactly what I've been since I was 6 years old. And I was like, great. So I can just jump in with sweats on and just go for it. And they're like, yeah, basically do whatever you want. And half of the dialogue is just me actually reacting to them actually being able to do what they did in the show. Like Lucasfilm, like on the Zoom during the recording, being like, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, go for it. And yeah, it was so delightful seeing them stressed out. It was amazing. It was so much fun.
Um, it was an interesting thing. I think I have like an encyclopedic knowledge of movies because I love so much. So I think there's a little bit of everything that subconsciously gets put into place. But I do remember the first time we ever recorded, I had Good Dev and I had, Darth Dev. And I remember we stopped after recording all of, which I don't know, might have taken me like 2 hours to record all of Good Dev because he's, not
Scarce.
Right, exactly. And then they were like, all right, go home. And then when you come back tomorrow, we'll do the rest of, Darth Dev and you can come in and I think I had like ideas and I played with, but it really was a collaboration with Dan and Benji and Chris in figuring out, um, where it goes. And I think throughout the sessions more and more, I was like, I know who this guy is. And, and then they pieced it together like a Frankenstein monster that is the character you guys are listening to today.
Hi, I'm Tanya on behalf of Kerwin and Keith from Father Son Galaxy. Lego Star Wars always does a really great job of embedding within the story a kind of moral, a great lesson. What lesson is it do you want viewers to take from the series?
Oh, that's a good question. I think like from the get-go, so much of this story has to do with the importance of fighting for family, and I think that that's very clear, not just with Dev and Sig, who are, of course, actually brothers, but also the family that's developed over the course of the show with Jedi Bob and Yessie, and that clearly becomes a family in its own, and certainly just equally as important to fight for as it is with blood relatives. And I think that that's really fun to see. There's a tug of war there that's really fun to explore with Sig, of what his priority is going to be, or the people that have his back, or the person that's actively trying to kill him. There's who knows? Who knows what he'll do? But that's always what I've taken away from it.
Yeah, I'll just echo that a little bit more and seeing Jedi Bob betraying kind of or having something to do with his a former teacher Solitus and what happens there, and it's like he gave up on fixing and stuff like that is and fighting for his family. So just never give up. I think that would be the lesson.
Hi, I'm Brad from Friends of the Force. So here on our podcast, we're huge fans of Lego Star Wars in general. It's a core staple of our childhood. And this is often a very, right into my question. We often find this to be a very common ground with a lot of other Star Wars fans. So I'd love to know for each of you, do you have any favorite memories of Lego Star Wars, whether it be like any sets or specials or video games that you played growing up?
I played Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga when it became one game for the Wii religiously. That I think it's the best Lego game of all time. I think it's a classic. It's so good. It still plays so well. I remember specifically I had played so many times and completed every level so many times that I started giving myself new challenges. And it was just to collect every coin in every level was my challenge, because I wanted to save up to get Ghost Yoda, who is the most expensive of the purchasable free play characters. And I never did, but I don't think I think I outgrew the game. It took so long that eventually I outgrew that process. I was like, I have homework. I'm a teenager. I can't do this anymore. And I think I got Ghost Anakin though, so I was proud of that.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my memory.
I remember playing the games. I think it was 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
And
because 1, 2, 3 was first, I think, for the Lego games.
Yes,
I think
it
the
was.
prequels were the first for the games.
And then I played 4, 5, 6, and that was my introduction. I played those games before I watched the original.
So good. Oh, no way.
I know.
That's awesome. No, that's great. That's such a fun intro.
It's so I remember watching the movies and going, I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
you know, everyone knows. Spoiler alert:
Yeah.
Darth Vader is Anakin, and
Do you remember the
Yeah.
friggin' picture he holds up of like pregnant Padme to tell Luke that like
Yes,
they
yeah,
can't use
yeah.
dialogue? It's the funniest thing in the world. It's amazing.
So that's why I don't think I was that surprised when I watched the original movie.
It's so good.
Hi, I'm Arzu. I'm with the Geeky Waffle. You talked earlier about sort of your inspiration going into these characters and what you pulled from, but I'm curious, having had time between the first batch of episodes and then this batch of episodes, did you find that like sitting with these characters changed the way you saw them, changed the way you played them? And how was that?
That was interesting. What was really actually pretty nice going in was that we had confirmed the second season and started working on it and recording it well before the first season was even announced, I think. I think that Disney Plus or Lucasfilm specifically just really loved what we got initially before the release and just knew that it was going to be, at least for them, a success in itself to even have it there, even if it didn't do well ratings wise. So we started working on it pretty quickly. So it was kind of a seamless transition. And for me, the memory of it feels like one long movie rather than a two-part series. And I think that it shows in the show. I think once the second one's out, I really recommend watching it if one wants to in one sitting as a really long movie because it reads as one to me.
Yeah, it kind of to me it felt a little bit like there was a breath where I could go into the booth and just play a little bit more and push a little bit more just because you know we had gotten our first season mostly out and you know I'd seen most of the episodes as we started doing season 2 before season 1 had even come out.
Mm.
Which lend me a lot of confidence in being able to go in and push you know dev a little bit further and I think it gave the creators a lot, Dan and Benji and Chris, a lot more leeway to just go let's go even further, let's like make the jokes funnier and call this out and this and that and blah blah blah, which was really fun.
James from Jedi News here. Thank you both so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks, James.
Lego Star Wars animation has become synonymous with Star Wars over the years, and you know the characters we've got from the Freemaker Adventures and Jack 14, and now we've got Sig and Dev, and they're with us forevermore. So how does that feel to be part of Star Wars lore?
It's a lifetime dream, right? I think it was an absolute dream growing up to be a part of this franchise, and it's the reason that I love cinema so much. And I would attribute so much of what I do now for a living and what I do just on a day to day to that franchise, and to be a part of it in any capacity, let alone a show I love so much, is a real honor.
I'm just super grateful. I feel like as I've you know grown up and getting older, there's still a part of my childhood that is like that'll never be fulfilled, and there's like a part of me that does these things for them a little bit, or for not them, they're not multiple people, but for him. And you know, I got to be a part of Marvel and Star Wars now and Willow, which was a series dear to my heart, watching the original movie as a kid. So it's like I feel like I'm collecting these little things for
You got a
the
franchise lineup. You've got like pieces of some heavy hitters there.
I've been lucky enough, you know, what can I say? I get into the right rooms and I say, please, please, please,
Please give me a job.
please give me a job. And you know, Star Wars is such a beautiful, just beautiful like story that being anything a part of it is great, and let alone you know doing it with these incredible people from the creator side to everyone else, including Gaten, who is just a bundle of joy.
Yeah, thank you.
It's nice of you.
Of course, and sex appeal, and sex appeal, of course.
Yeah. Pure machismo and.
Hi, this is Alex from Star Wars Explained.
Okay.
Hi, Alex.
Hi. Every Star Wars story is going to inevitably be someone's first Star Wars story. I'm sure Rebuild the Galaxy, it will be no different. How do you hope a very wild and fun and frantic story like this will help shepherd and shape new fans into the franchise?
I think it's essential. I think having shows like this it's pretty reminiscent of what the prequels did. I think what the prequels did was it was usher in a new era of people that were inevitably going to become obsessed with this franchise, and they've successfully been able to do that over the course of the many decades that it's been out since, what was it, 77 it first released. And I think it's shows like this that keep younger viewers engaged. I mean, animated shows usually have the ability to do that very well, and I think something is fun and lighthearted and really good for younger viewers, I think is essential to getting them to love the show. But also, I don't think it babies it doesn't hold anybody's hand in regards to what they're jumping into. It's kind of a show like by Star Wars fans for Star Wars fans, and so I think that that's why it's such a good. When it comes to maybe new parents who are looking to try to find a good way of getting their kids to be Star Wars fans without like shoving it down their throats and be like, watch this old relic of a movie for you at 10 years old. Because I can imagine, because sometimes kids have lack of patience when going into something like that. So I think it maybe it's a good middle ground.
Absolutely. And equally, I think it's just as fun for the adults,
Yeah.
who are fans of the show. And I would say, like, if I could tell people what to do, I would hope that they go watch everything. And even if they watch our show first,
It'd be so confusing.
come back, I think there'll be some jokes that may hit you a little bit funnier when you see it. But there's beautiful homage in every single episode that I think whether you see this first or that first, it'll hit you in a certain way, which will be nice.
Hey guys, Art Eddie here from Art of Fatherhood. Gaten, Tony, thank you again for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you.
And if anybody wonders if Lucasfilm does like how they do on casting, you guys talking about the games and like getting all the coins, I felt that answer my bone was trying to get all the coins. And my daughter's like, why are you worried about getting all the coins? I'm like, I have to.
It's important. I have to. Like, there's something like when you see it blinking about to disappear and the panic that goes through your soul because you have to start over if it goes, oh gosh. Nothing filled me more than when it says True Jedi, right? When it goes like boom, when it fills up, the coin slot fills up. Yes, sir. Oh, it's joy.
That's awesome. But I gotta say, obviously you guys have a great new ship. Obviously,
it's so sick.
Burner.
Love it. When I talk to voice actors and stuff, and they get like a picture of what they're going to be like or what they're going to look like or worlds and all that stuff. Obviously, you guys were in the first one and you guys were the main characters. But seeing what was developed for the sequel, what do you guys think about, like, obviously your speeder, but then also to all the different worlds and all that? What was your kind of thoughts for this one as you knew, like, all right, this is our characters, this is what we feel. Now going into the second one, I know you said that you were kind of recording them back to back, but seeing the new worlds and seeing all the different things, how did you kind of explore your characters based on the worlds you were going to be in?
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I guess I just kind of trusted Dan and Benji and like, I would walk in and we would then have 30 minutes of just conversations of Star Wars lore and this and that and jokes that they would put in. And I think they were equally as surprised at how nerdy or how much I knew of the material. They're like, well, you see, that joke is because I'm like, no, I understand the joke. I'm laughing inside. Now, like, I got to put on the serious hat and try to make it believable that this character is going to say it that way. So I think there was a little bit more conversations that could be had because we had a foundation now in figuring out, could he say it this way? Could he say it some other way? And I think that was the difference between 1 and 2 for me, was allowing myself to push a little bit more, have a little bit more confidence, but then also, ask for a different thing. And they would be like, yes, no. Well, we can't do that because Lucasfilm won't let you. And I go,
we ran into that a few times.
Yeah. I realized you requested an orange lightsaber.
I did. I
didn't realize I could do that.
I didn't think I could either, and then they let me. I think it's sick. I don't know. I just felt like when it came to that, I was like, he's not a traditional Jedi. He uses the Force in a very different way than other Jedis do, and he's learning in a very unorthodox sense. And also, it just looks cool. It just looks cool, and let me do it. And then they were like, I don't know. And I was like, they just did it in Jedi Survivor. They just did it in Jedi Survivor. Please let me do it. Outcast just has one. Please let me do it. And they're like, fine. Like, I just seeing, like I said before, the Lucasfilm rep on Zoom when we're filming, like, just like sweating at the requests that we had was what brought me so much joy. I think with this one, we kind of got the green light to kind of go. Just there's no point in not asking for new fun things and new worlds to be built and things like the Force Burner and things like going to new dimensions and like when you have like Jackson the mythical space bunny, which was a pull so deep I had never even heard of it, and I felt bad as a Star Wars nut having been like, I'm like, what are you talking about, a pink space rabbit? And they're like, no, this is real, this actually happened. I was like, okay, great, we're in. I don't think that could have happened in the first season, and I honestly think that, like, if there was any reservation from Lucasfilm going into the second one, seeing how well it worked in the first, after seeing it come together, kind of gave them more of like a breath of fresh relief and be like, yeah, kind of do whatever you want. And I think it pays off.
Cool. Thank you very much. Gaten, if you ever meet Kevin Scott, don't let him know that you didn't know who Jackson was. That's all.
I feel terrible that I didn't, and I'm so honored now that I do.
But I know Ben Schwartz is
with him in a show. Like, I feel good now.
I would love to. Art, thank you for the visual explanation, because you guys are minifigures now. And Gaten, I know that there was a Stranger Things one, and I don't think Flash ever got one in any Spider-Man things.
That's messed up.
I don't even want to ask, like, how does it feel? But like, this is a big deal. This is like an Oscar. This is it, man. Right? What is it like to be part of something that is like this? Star Wars is always, toyetic and is full of these things, but you being now a part of it in a very physical way, what does that lend to the characters and kind of the legacy that you've built with this?
I think, again, it just comes back to the inner kid in me. Like, I wish I could have like played with a toy that, was either looked like me or that I could have done. I was always like, oh man, I don't know, play with a Spider-Man toy and wish I could play Spider-Man, or or a Darth Vader toy and be like, damn, I wish I had like, we all picked up a stick and said it was a lightsaber and did the noises. So it's like, now I have a character that I can do that with, and it's awesome.
It's really fun. I think that kids, when they latch on to a franchise or kind of create this hyperfixation onto something they love dearly, that becomes most of their personality over the course of a good chunk of their childhood. I think a lot of kids have had that before, but I think the reason that happens is because so many kids want to see something through the lens of, if they really do like put themselves in the shoes of the people in it, and that's why they play pretend, and that's why they have so much fun. They buy the games, they buy the toys, because they want to be as close to doing what they see on screen as possible. And being able to see something that I would have been so excited about as a 6 or 7 year old, it really does fill my heart like crazy. It means a lot more than I think that Lego knows. They're like, yeah, whatever. And it happened twice, which is crazy. I have two different people I've played be minifigures, which is kind of nuts and really, really fun. And sometimes people give them to me, so I have more than I need of them, and so that teeters on being creepy, of just like dolls of me in like boxes in my room. But hey, we've all got weird things. We've all got skeletons in the closet, and in my closet, it's just minifigures of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it.
So I'm Tanya, and I'm representing Kerwin and Keith on behalf of Father Son Galaxy. And my question is, there's numerous characters in Star Wars. How did you determine which characters would appear in this series?
It's a great question. It was one of the hardest questions that we. Yeah, I think that was one of the biggest challenges of this entire show and the previous series, where it's just there's so much, and we wanted to celebrate it all, but we can't obviously squeeze everything in. I think our initial scripts were way too long, and it was.
They were like, you got to stop. You have to stop writing.
And so it started to come down to a few different categories. Like, one, what are the weird edges of the Star Wars galaxy that we personally were most excited to see? To what did we think other people might view this as their only opportunity to see? Someone like Jackson is such a deep, old character that has never come to life on the screen before. And so we're just like, hey, maybe this is the opportunity to make it happen. And then there were ones that were things that we felt that for the story that we wanted to tell made the most sense.
Well, things like, one of the questions we pose to ourselves is, what are the combinations of characters that we have never seen or probably never will see in a Star Wars story? And that's where putting the Skywalker family unit together really became something that we got very excited about, because he said, oh, we've never seen Anakin, Padme, Luke, and Leia on screen at the same time. We never will. Probably, I mean, maybe I should never say never, but I don't think that's
hard to
it's hard to imagine that happening at this point. Maybe, some smart person in the future will figure out how to do that. But we said, this might be our only opportunity to see that actual family unit together. So we should do that. And then once he made a decision like that, that informed having Pirate Queen Amidala, because we said, well, where has she been? What is she up to? How can she enter the story in a really meaningful way that is both funny and emotional, but also forwards the plot? And so those are the kinds of decisions that we made on the front end. And some characters didn't make it all the way to the end. Some we wanted to use, and we just couldn't find the right spot for them, or we tried just some just didn't work out. So it's some I still feel sad about.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm with Friends of the Force podcast. Congratulations on the second installment of Rebuild the Galaxy. It was such a joy to watch.
Thank you.
With not just all of Star Wars at your fingertips, but the world of Lego as well. We see the introduction of Brickhead's Ahsoka, as well as the extra tall Chewbacca figure. As somebody who has that Chewbacca set, this was, I immediately picked up on this and thought it was absolutely hilarious. How did bringing in these different worlds of Lego come about?
Yeah, so I mean, it is when you're making a sequel, part of it is like, how do we top what we did before? Where do we go? And some of that is in terms of storytelling, how do we tell a bigger story? But also, we really wanted more of a scope here. And if the first series was celebrating Lego Star Wars, how do we celebrate it even more? And that's when we got excited about this idea of exploring all of the weird edges of Lego Star Wars and things that we can't see ever in anything else. Like this, we actually had the framework to see a giant brick-built Chewbacca or Brickhead's Ahsoka. We've never seen Brickheads interacting with minifigs in anything before, and there might not even be anything else that gives you that opportunity like this. And so we got really excited about just like exploring every edge of Lego the same way we were exploring every edge of Star Wars.
But that meant that we had to figure out a sensible in-galaxy reason that such a thing would ever occur, and that's where Forcehold came from. Yeah, Forcehold sort of functions as like the Lego that gets caught under the couch, or now that my kids are doing Lego all the time, just I find them everywhere. And so we said, well, what about those pieces as these versions of the galaxy are rebuilt? Well, there must be a few that fall through the cracks. And that's where, once we had that idea, we said, oh, what if there's a whole place where those pieces go? What's going on over there? How does time function there? What kind of Lego are getting lost in there? So, and once we had that brainstorm, we said, oh, there's really nothing that we can't do now, because we have an organic sort of really plot-centric reason that this is happening.
Hi, I'm Candace from the Geeky Waffle, and I wanted to know, when Yessa is calling the rebellion for help, was there a Mara Jade reference?
You did. Your ears did pick up the magic words for sure. I will say this much: they called to someone named Mara. I don't know how many Maras there are in the Star Wars galaxy. Probably a lot. So who knows? But I think that you can fill in the blanks with your imagination. But they definitely do call out to someone named Mara.
Hi, this is Alex from Star Wars Explained. I wanted to talk about Solidus because I thought he was a fantastic villain that honestly builds off a lot of the stuff we've already talked about. Dan Stevens' performance was great, but I also see him as someone who is against all of the weirder edges. He's against fun and playfulness and diversity. So can you talk about how you developed his character and his design?
Yeah, he was a character that we were really excited to create, and when we were trying to figure out what to do for this second set of episodes, we're in the first season. It's about Sig versus Dev, two brothers fighting over how to play with Lego. Essentially, one wants to build, the other wants to break, and it's that. And we, compare that to Jedi versus Sith and building versus breaking. And so for this set, we were like, well, what is a different threat that can affect both building and breaking? And it got us thinking about, in the Lego fandom, which I am a part of for a long time, people refer to their dark ages, which is the period in which you go where you're not playing Lego anymore. Like you have that moment where when you're a teenager and someone's like, oh, it's not cool to play with Lego. And so you stop. And then when you're an adult, you suddenly rediscover your love for it. And people refer to that time off as their dark ages. People will be like, oh, I wish I had that Lego set, but it came out during my dark ages and I was never able to get it. And so, we liked that as a concept of someone who's just like, all this building and breaking, you're just children playing with toys. Like, stop. You've got to grow up. But so that was the Lego side of it. And then on the Star Wars side of it, we felt that paired really nicely with the idea of someone being like Jedi, Sith. It's two sides of the same coin caught in like this endless battle. Like there's something above it, just stop. It's messy. You're being children. And so we thought that the Star Wars theme and the Lego theme kind of paired perfectly together to create this character of Solitus. And, as for the design, we
just wanted to, there are so many iconic alien species in Star Wars, but we wanted to do something that we hadn't seen a million times before, give some flavor. We knew we wanted it, that there's an alienness to his being as well. So we wanted it to be this kind of very sort of elegant and elevated perspective. And I think that the best villains usually have some good points that they're making. And so we thought it was important to have Solitus actually have a philosophy that he adhered to in a real way. It's just that his methodology, and also that the time that he spent in Forcehold, which we don't really know how long he was in there.
Right.
We don't really know. Was it 100 years? Was it 500 years? Was it 5 million years? We don't really know.
And we wanted to give him a really cool lightsaber.
And that
probably made no sense in live action, but in Lego, it
makes perfect sense. Cool. So they were just, we challenged ourselves to say, what have we not seen in a Star Wars villain up to this point, or what are some elements that we wanted to privilege, and that's where that informed a lot of the things like his design choices. And of course Dan Stevens' performance elevates it to the next level because he's like a genius.
Cool. Hey guys, thanks again for creating another great Star Wars show with season 2. Earlier today we were talking with Gaten and Tony, and Brandon from Talking B94 made a good point about like the lightsaber colors, and I brought up, of course, I'm going to showcase this because I built it. I love what you guys did with the speeder, and thinking about what Brandon said about the colors, the red lightsaber and the orange lightsaber. Looking at the colorway, there's black and then red, orange, and yellow. Did you kind of do that to mix with the colors of the lightsabers when you guys are creating these things? Do you have the color themes going in mind, the colorways, so to speak, while you're designing different vehicles that are new to the Star Wars franchise?
It's interesting. Like, truthfully, the orange lightsaber for Sig came from Gaten being like, hey, I really just want to have an orange lightsaber. No one's done it. Like, can we just do it? And that took us being like, well, I guess, yeah, like that would be fun. And everyone was excited about the idea of, in Lego, we can have a new lightsaber piece that we've never done before. And it just got us all excited. And then, going for the Force burner, like I'm sure. I don't know. Did it affect? It might have.
Oh, it definitely did.
Yeah.
I remember because we knew that he was going to have an orange lightsaber, and we knew that it was going to that we wanted it to pick up on the colors. And you know, one of the really cool things about this whole experience is like I love Lego, but I'm not a fanatic in the sense that Benji was coming into it. But I've learned a lot. Like, so even things like this translucent yellow piece in the cockpit, you have no idea, like, the conversations around this thing, the enthusiasm, the excitement. That was like, we're doing it. We're gonna have the translucent yellow. And so I started to learn myself about, like every single decision that is made has a ripple effect, not only in the storytelling, but also in the community of people that, you know. And then I would go after the set was announced and I went on Reddit, as, you know, one shouldn't do, but I do anyway. and you know, but all the people are going, I can't believe we got that translucent yellow. We are winning, everyone. And so it was, you never know the things that people get excited about.
It wasn't, you know, that ship needed to represent like this Jedi and Sith brothers pairing up together. And so like fire is something that feels Sith, and you you think of like lava and Vader and
Mustafar, things like that, yeah.
But the positive end of fire is like a hot rod, and you know that you don't think of a hot rod's fire as scary. It's cool and fun, and that's what, you know, it felt like the perfect.
And that's also why you needed the black to be represented in the color scheme. But you know, so we all of these things are so interesting and really do require a lot of thought on the front end, especially on the Lego side, because you have to make these decisions years in advance, right? And so then you as a writer and a showrunner have the responsibility to go, okay, how can we make this organic to what we're doing? How can we fold this in such a way that it makes complete sense in the narrative of the story, rather than feeling like a thing that we threw in haphazardly, because nothing in this was haphazard at all. So yeah, it was interesting. It was a super interesting experience to get to kind of work on these things from the ground up.
Hey, I'm Brandon from Talking Bay 94. I would love to kind of talk a little bit about comedy in Star Wars. Like the original Star Wars is very funny. A New Hope is like very funny. And then obviously there's the parodies over the years. There's Spaceballs, which I know that y'all are familiar with. But there are other things that have kind of come over the years, whether it is parody or within Star Wars. But I'd be curious, as writers, as showrunners, as, you know, when you're breaking the script, is it hard to write comedy in Star Wars? Is it easy? What did you experience in the past 2 seasons?
I mean, we approach it, you know, we approach it as fans, honestly. And, you know, think of how when you're hanging out with fellow fans and just talking about Star Wars, which is like basically how our friendship began, you know, 20 plus years ago. Like our first time we went out as friends was to see Revenge of the Sith in theaters when we were in college and first met. And you're making jokes about it all the time. Like you're joking about Star Wars, you're riffing on it, but it's from a place of love. Like you're not making fun of it with the comedy. And so, you know, to us, comedy is such like an intrinsic part of the way we write, you know, whether it's Star Wars or any of the other projects we've been fortunate enough to take part in. Like it's the comedy just kind of comes naturally because it's the way people really talk about this stuff.
I think it's a balance. I think that because it's Lego and because it is a little bit more off kilter and a little bit more diagonal, you can do more as far as comedy because you can push it a little farther visually, you know, physical humor. But I think it's finding the right moments, right? One of my favorite moments in the whole second set of episodes is when Dev really does come to the light in the 4th episode, and he says, I want you to mean nothing to me, but you don't. And he ultimately builds, you know, one of the hardest things in writing that I have found is to have a character deliver the lines, I love you, and really have it be meaningful and not cheesy and not kind of cringeworthy. And Tony Revolori is a brilliant actor, and he is, I think this is in many ways, you know, Dev's season or Dev's, you know, sort of miniseries in a lot of ways at the heart of it. And that story that was very intentional, and it was based so much on Tony's performance. But as soon as he says, I love you, if you say I love you in Star Wars, you know what has to come next. So that's where the comedy comes in. It's like that was a if then.
But I would just to add to that, I think one of our goals with both this and the original series is, yes, it's Lego Star Wars. It needs to be fun and silly and all of that playfulness. But Dan and I, when we first started working on the first one, we were like, this may be our only shot to ever write a Star Wars. This, and so if it is, we better write a Star Wars. And so if you notice, both in the first series and in this one, by the time you get to the last episode, there's not that many jokes. It's kind of just, surprise, you're watching a Star Wars. And
that was intentional.
That was intentional. Where even us, when we are watching it sometime, and we've heard it from other people, it's like you forget you're watching Lego at a certain point where you're just invested in the characters and what's happening. And, so it is a balance. It's like having the fun, but knowing when you need to get serious.
There's a moment in the series where a completed Lego model is taken apart and then rebuilt to create something new. What Lego model have each of you created from your own imagination?
I mean, this is a hobby of mine. We wanted to celebrate that idea in the Lego community. We call them mocks, my own creation. I have at home an entire Lego city that I'm one of those guys. And so, I've got,
He's being slightly modest because Benji actually built a lot of the prototypes of the mashup ships that we see in the series in his workshop. Not the finished ones, but sort of the prototype pieces, the proof of concept.
Yeah, I don't want to take any credit for the work of the Lego designers that actually took my barely functional Lego models and made them into stuff that you can play with.
But what was amazing about that is that we actually had someone capable of doing the mashups on his own, as to say something like this, but better, but more polished, but figuring out the actual, sort of engineering and mechanics of the geniuses, at Lego. But it was really, very moving for me to see him. I would.
If you look at even my Brickhead Ahsoka, I can't find the mouth is off right now because I was modifying it to figure out how to actually do the talking. And so when we first had this idea, and people were like, "Wait, you want to have a minifig talking to a Brickhead? How's that going to work?" And so I animated it on my own at home and sent it to the director and to everyone involved to be like, "No, look, we can do it." And so I'm constantly tinkering with my Lego. Yeah.
I'm not quite at that level of skill, so most of my original creations are spent helping my kids have a Sonic versus Minecraft versus Star Wars versus whatever we got in the bin battles. That's what I did all yesterday afternoon.
Sounds like a good battle.
It was a good battle. It worked pretty good. Star Wars one.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening to our roundtable interviews. Thank you again to Lucasfilm. And a huge shout out to all the other outlets that we did this with. Great questions from all around, and it was very, very fun time. So if you want to hear more from us here at Friends of the Force, you can find us on all of our socials, notably Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube. And follow us on our podcast feed of your choice, wherever you listen, and subscribe so that you get all of our future episodes, and leave a review if you'd be so kind. So stay tuned for more.
We also will be having an upcoming Patreon episode talking more in depth about Rebuild the Galaxy because we were unable to cover it when it came out last year. So we're looking forward to rehashing all these jokes and laughing at them just as hard as we did when they initially watched. So if you're a patron, be on the lookout for that. Our Patreon tiers start at just $1, where you get all of our extra episodes. So a sincere thanks to our patrons who help keep the lights on here at Friends of the Force. They are Abigail, Andy, Bren, Brian, Cheryl, Clay, David, Emma, Ian, Jennifer, Josephine, Katie, Knights of Ren, Krista, Logan, Lucy, Lindsay, Matthew, Nicole, Rob, Ruth, Santa, Sky Talkers, and V Glyph. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for everyone has taken time out of their day to join us for these conversations, these roundtable interviews. My question to you, listeners, I really would like to know, so whether it be Discord, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram even. What is your favorite line or joke from the show? I want to know. There are so many that I have in my mind, so please tell me yours on any of our socials.
The galaxy is truly your oyster on that question because there are just so many to choose from. So good. I can't wait to talk more about this on our Patreon, like you mentioned, but thank you all once again for everybody listening. And until next time, may the force be with you always.